This is the Anything Goes with Jax and Neill podcast. Welcome back to Anything Goes. I'm Jax and Neill. Today, episode number 116 with someone who I love to have on the podcast. It's his second time coming on, and it's for his brand new album, Still. Of course, I'm talking about AJ Banksy. Had an awesome conversation with him about this project. Before we jump into that though, want to remind everyone to rate and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platforms. It comes out every Tuesday and Thursday. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, basically wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find this one. So make sure to go out and subscribe to that. Also, this interview has a video component. I did this over a Skype call with AJ. So if you want to check out the cool video part, go down to the link in the show notes, and there you can check out the video portion of this interview as well. So as I mentioned, AJ just released his brand new album, Still. He did it alongside producer Mike Abstract, and it was the first time the two had ever worked together, and they came out with this really awesome sounding project. AJ explained that a lot of times in music, you make songs or albums for either that really high moment in your life or that really low moment in your life. And that this project is somewhere for that time in between, that time when you're just kind of still going about each and every day and still going through the hopes for you to get to that higher point. So we talked about this project, that whole theme aspect, all the things that kind of inspired him, the movie soundtrack, the little movie soundbite you hear throughout it. So it was a really fun conversation I had with AJ, and let's jump right into it. So when exactly did you start working on this album?
Man. So we actually recorded me and Mike, the dude who produced the whole album. We started recording, I want to say, in like August of 2018. Because he had actually hit me up right after the Second Son video dropped on Elevator, and he was like, bro, let me send you beats, like yada yada yada. So I was like, all right, bet, like send them through. And then I heard the beat for Supersonic, which I sent you the video for that song. I heard that beat and I was like, wait, like this kid is like this. He's like, this is something, man. So I took a step back and we started working on that song. Like I said, probably like towards the end of August, early September. And then I hit him up and I was like, yo, let's just do a whole project, man. Like I'm really feeling this. Yeah. So that's how we started.
Okay, I noticed that he was the producer for this whole thing, and so you guys met through that way, and Supersonic was the first thing you heard by him?
Yeah, that was the first beat, because like I said, he hit me up after the Second Son video dropped and was like, let me send you like a beat pack or whatever. So he sent me like 3 beats, and it's crazy because I actually slept on that Supersonic beat at first. I was like, he sent me 3 beats, I listened to them, I was like, all right, these are cool, but I think because I had just finished the It Gets Deeper project, like I wasn't really in the mind state to like make music right then and there. Mm-hmm. So I kind of slept on them for a little bit. I was like, it was cool. I'll come back and listen to it later. But like the second time I went and listened to Supersonic, I was like, wait, no, this is crazy. This is crazy. So yeah, that's all right.
So what about him, I guess, what about his production made you think, okay, let's do a whole project together, not just one track?
Honestly, Supersonic kind of reminded me a little bit of Second Son, just like the cadence of the beat, like the catchiness of it. And I think when I wrote to it and like finally sat down and like structured it out and everything and like saw how fire the song was, I was like, okay, well, let me see what else he has. Like if this is, you know what I mean? Like if this is the first thing he's sending me, like if I can tap into this and like, really get him working and stuff like that. Like, and it's crazy because he's in like a band or like an orchestra, like at his school. He's a young dude still in high school. So he just has like music theory and stuff like that. Is something that he already has like the knowledge of. So then working with someone like that who already, like knows that side of like music, you're always going to be at an advantage. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I really wanted to like, tap into all the skills that he had. And then, of course, bring my kind of twist and stuff to it. Yeah, bro. I think we're dangerous. We're a dangerous little pair. I'll say that.
Yeah, definitely. And that whole music theory thing. I mean, had an interview recently where the producer was telling me just how important that is and how sometimes it gets overlooked nowadays. We just think, you can just go on your computer and make something. Right. No. There's a lot that goes into a song. Like,
Like absolutely not. Yeah, nah, 100%. And I actually like, he's young, like I said. But I didn't go into it trying to do like the big bro type of thing and like, basically trying to force him in a certain direction. I was like, bro, teach me. Like, you know what I mean? Teach me the placement of different things. Like, okay, the hi-hats need to go here to bring out this element of like this and that. Like I was learning during the whole process, you know what I mean? Because I'm a really dope writer, but like I want to learn other pieces of, the whole process too. So yeah, I mean, I had him teaching me all kinds of stuff.
So with the production, he had the supersonic beat before you had met him? How about the other things? Did you guys kind of craft the project together, or was it a lot of just like stuff you already had that you just liked?
Nah, it was a lot of trial and you asked really great questions, bro. It was a lot of
Thank you.
a lot of trial and error. Like he would send me something. Let's say it was like basic, just had like the drums, the melody, whatever. And I would be like, like this is cool, but like you could probably go harder. Or this is cool, like by itself, but it won't fit into like this whole concept that I'm drafting up, like in my head, or like what I want the project to sound like. So my biggest thing, and I remember telling him this, was like, we gotta make the production build upon itself, like for the album. Like I want this beat to transition smoothly into like this, and I need this sound to follow after this. So he would like send me stuff. And then I would say, okay, like I was already piecing it together in my head. Like as I'm working, I'm like, okay, this track goes here. And then we need something to kind of calm it down a little bit. So I need something slow and like a little like kind of melodic, low tempo, whatever. Okay, then this is the part we're going to turn back up. So I need you to, you know what I mean? Like that. But it's not, we worked it. Man, if you could only see like just the notes and stuff, like even when we were getting it engineered, just how we broke down like every track, like, okay, this ad lib has to go here and that doesn't sound good there, like move that. It was a crazy, and I think that's part of why it took so long, is we really treated it like an album. You know what I mean? Like I wanted this to be perfect, and I think this is the closest I've come to like a fully whole and complete like project front to back. Like, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, the reason I asked that was because that thing you kind of mentioned, that kind of like flow throughout the project, like when it speeds up at certain points, then it just slows back down. And listening to it, I could really tell there was a clear focus to have those variances throughout the project.
Yeah. Nah, Mike actually used to get, I don't know if it was like frustration, but I used to like, he would really like send me, like from a producer standpoint, you work hard on something and you send it to the artist and they're like, nah, that's not it. Like, oh man, like, I just spent like 4 hours on this. But he was a good sport about everything. And I think like he even told me, he was like, yo, like you're bringing out some of my best stuff ever. So it's like we were really just pushing each other like the whole time.
So how long was it from start to finish with you guys working together?
Let me see. So we started, I don't really know what to call the official start of the album, because like I said, at first he just sent me Supersonic and I was just gonna like drop that as like a single once I had finally got around to recording to it. And then at a certain point, I think it was around like September 30th ish of last year. Then cause I DM'd him, and I actually posted that screenshot recently, but I DM'd him and I was like, yo, like, nah, like, let's just do the whole tape, like I mentioned before. So then I think we finished sometime in, I want to say like May of this year. So yeah, however long that is. And then I sat on it for a while and, sent it to people. We reworked a lot of things, just trying to get it perfect. But yeah, so however many months from September to May.
That's a long time. I can tell the time definitely paid off.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
This is your debut album. This is your debut project like that. And listening to it, I can tell that there's a storyline throughout this. I can tell that there's kind of like you wanted to tell a story with this project. Can you just tell me a little bit behind what story kind of inspired this album as a whole?
Yeah. So I feel like I probably said this before during the last interview, but I always want the music to be purposeful, and I want it to be real. So, most of the times when I'm writing, it's always like anecdotal, like type of things. It's always real stories, real events, real people. Like, you know what I mean? I want to speak like from my life, because I feel like I'm the expert on that. Like no one can tell my stories better than me. so I feel like that was a big part of it. The inspiration for the album, honestly, was or just like that concept of still. I feel like artists in general, right? You either make music about the really high points, or you make music about the really low points, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's either really triumphant music or it's kind of like depressed, defeated, but like, you know, you can still turn something ugly kind of like beautiful. Like that's what art is, right? But no one really makes music about like, what do you do in between those times? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, like hear me out. So like
I know. Yeah.
that's kind of where the concept of still came from. It's like, you know, you're not where you want to be, right? You're not where you were, because it gets deeper. I feel like I was in a super low point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I came up out of that, right? But it's like, okay, now what do you do now? Like you don't immediately jump from your low point to like on top of the world, right? There's work that has to go into like getting to that point of where you want to be. And that's what still is for me. It's about persevering. It's about getting up every day and going to work at your 9 to 5. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's about, you know, sacrifice. Like, what would you do, you know, to get where you want to be? Like, would you rob somebody for it? Would you sell drugs for it? It really like I wanted to explore all those different things of like, literally like the quote is like, we're just still staying alive, still taking care of kids, still, you know, going to school, still going to work, still paying bills. You know what I mean? Like it's the soundtrack almost for like everyday life, man. Like you're still grinding, you're still waking up, doing what you have got to do to be able to do what you want to do. And that's where I feel like I'm at right now. And so that's what I wanted to convey, like with the album. And I hope that's like when you heard it, I hope that some of that kind of makes sense now, because that's definitely what I was going for. But that was, I feel like, the underlying theme of the album. There's a couple of like other things, I guess, on top of it, but that was what I really wanted to like hit home, was just that, you know, that everyday grind, that everyday perseverance that nobody like talks about or nobody like celebrates that part really, like in music. I feel like it's either like I'm on top of the world, I'm driving the Mercedes, I'm doing that, or it's like, you know, oh, I was down bad and this and that. You know what I mean? Like there's no in between.
That's such a cool concept. And I mean, I didn't consciously think about it and pick up on it, but now that you mention it, like I really connected with this project, and it's because what you just described is where I am in my life. It's kind of that like in between, and so many people are. There's so many times in your life you're like that.
Right. And it's like, dang, where's the soundtrack for us? You know what I mean? Like we hear the rich people make music, or not, let me not make it like it that simple, but you hear like artists that are established, right? And artists who have made it, and you're hearing, you know, them tell about their stories. And there is a lot of struggle and stuff like that sometimes in that music, but I feel like you can't necessarily relate. Wale had a great line about that. He was like, I'm gonna pray for him. Safe to say something, but essentially it was like my bank statement can't relate to him. Like, how do you reach somebody who you can't see what life that you're living, or can't like that life, that the lifestyle that you're living doesn't like necessarily resonate with them? Like, how do you reach them? But like someone who's on our, you know, level, on our playing field, it's like it makes perfect, like you said, it makes perfect sense, because that's where you're at, so you can relate to that.
Exactly. It's like you're coming from a similar place, so that music is able to resonate with you from like a different level. That's why sometimes it's a lot hard for artists when they get deeper in their career and they get that crazy bank statements. Like, well, how do I connect with my core audience again?
Exactly. People love the hustle, man. They love the grind. They love the come up. You know what I mean?
Well, because everyone's going through that, but and you just hope you're one of those people that gets the bank statement that can't relate.
Yeah. I guess so, in a weird way, yeah. Eventually.
So throughout this project, you mentioned this to me, that you have a couple quotations from what is Snow on the Bluff, that you called it an Atlanta cult classic. I guess why include those? What was it about that movie that you wanted to include in your project?
So that first and the movie itself is kind of satire, but I feel like that that first clip, the intro clip, where it's like we're just still, man, we're just still, like I mentioned before, still staying alive, still taking care of kids or whatever, still strapped. Like that quote itself honestly kind of like set off the whole idea of the album. Like I mentioned before, like that quote was what made me like that was the album title. That was like my initial idea for like what I just described. So because that kind of started off the whole album, I definitely wanted to include that quote in there. And then like I went back and actually rewatched the movie and just found like certain clips and certain parts that I felt fit with like different moods of like the album. Like there's one in the beginning, one at the interlude, and then one towards the end. So we kind of just structured it like that. I just wanted to place them at like key points in the album to kind of like bring you back to the whole like still concept and just.
Okay.
Just real simple. Nothing.
Oh, just wanted to ask why that specific movie or anything.
Nothing extra. Well, just because I like the first clip, I think was the most important one. Right? We're just feeling it. It fit so well with what I wanted to do that I wanted to have that one in there, and then the other ones was kind of just to make it like consistent a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So, this concept of still, as I'm thinking about it more, it's like we said, it's not your highest point, not your lowest point. It's kind of that place in between.
Right.
In making this album, and maybe just in life, have you noticed, is it difficult in order to stay in that middle ground and maybe not go to a lower point? Because, you did mention your previous music was in a kind of a lower spot. So my question is, sometimes that monotony can get a little rough. It's like day in and day out, it's still the same thing. So
Right.
I guess, how do you maintain that staying in the middle and not dropping too low or even too high?
Yeah. I don't think you can get too high.
Okay.
I don't think you should get out. Yeah. No, I would love to progress and get even higher than I am, now, obviously. Well, I guess too high in the sense of maybe when you become out of touch with reality, but
Or you're just not confidence, but you're just I can't think of the word right now, but you're just you're too confident in yourself. You're too cocky, basically, is my thing. Yeah.
yeah. No, I definitely get that. Let me answer the first part though.
Okay.
Not because I have a lot of experience with going too low. It's difficult. It's difficult, and I actually don't even have just like a magic answer. And I wish I did, but I think it's just every day, making that decision that you don't want to go back to that place. You know what I mean? And then finding things either, for me it's music, but just constructive outlets, man, to make sure mentally, everything that you do stems from like your mind. And that's why you have to like guarding your mind and your thoughts and stuff like that. And not letting certain things like invade your spirit is so important. And so I think it's just finding, like I said, those creative outlets to put, because you don't want to be idle. There's a difference between being still and grinding towards something and working towards something every day, and not necessarily seeing the exponential increase, but seeing like, I'm better than I was yesterday. Okay, let me do better than I, was today, like tomorrow, that type of just the small building, I think. Because I think a lot of people, when you think of success, or when like, when you watch artists on YouTube or whatever, or, you watch their interviews, or you see them, like I mentioned before, like in the bins or in the, whatever, you get a skewed, I think, viewpoint of like what success looks like. Because all we see is the people that are successful, but you don't necessarily see like, and I feel like it's a little cliche, but you don't necessarily see what all they had to do to get to that point, right? And so I feel like just the day to day, like the little, inch by inch until you hit a mile, like that's what it looks like. I feel like, and so that's kind of what you have to do. I feel like to keep from falling back, right? It's just progress. Like every day, take one more step forward and 0 steps back, and then eventually, like you meet your end goal. So yeah, I hope that answered the question. I feel like I started getting too.
I think you answered it, and you brought up something kind of cool there, like. Like not getting stuck, because as I'm thinking of the word still, there's so much variance in that word. Like you're still stuck here. You could view it from that point, or you could say I'm still working, I'm still getting better. And there's in that one word, I feel like there's just so much up and down in range.
That brings up an excellent point, because there's even beauty and like kind of what you're saying, like when people think of the word wait, like that seems like a bad, connotation to it. Like, I don't want to wait. I don't want to like be here forever. I don't want to, but there's even beauty in just like resting, you know what I mean? Just sitting back and being like, I've done my part, and now and just waiting to be like elevated and taken to that next level. But you have to do the groundwork, and that's the I think the piece that separates, kind of just sitting on your ass from, um, just waiting for your moment. You've done all the preparation. Now you're just waiting for the opportunity to meet that. Nipsey Hussle had a great line about that. Opportunity meets preparation, or something like that. Rest in peace, Nip. But yeah, like I think that's I think that's the difference. Like you can be moving forward and resting like at the same time, if that makes sense, because
I
you've done all the prep work.
No, I get that because like you're doing everything that you can, and once you become at peace with that, you can't expect anything else from anybody else. You have to only take care of what you can do, and then just whatever happens happens.
Yeah, and you wait on God to bless all the work that you put in. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? You do what you can in the natural, and then you wait for all of that to manifest. The way that it should. Even when you look at and that brings me perfectly actually into talking about the artwork for the album. Have you seen the artwork?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, you got the tea set, you got the very calm, I think someone said like green or like earth tones are supposed to represent like very calming, very like balanced, yeah, whatever. So you see like the scene in the woods, right, with the table and the tea set and the silverware, and then you see the alcohol bottle, which is a little bit like on the more like raunchy, like aggressive side, but it's complete balance, right? Like I'm sitting in the woods, teacup in the hand, very calm, very tranquil. That's kind of like the other piece of it that I wanted to bring out in the artwork, the concept of still, the concept of being able to rest and wait to be taken to that next level because you've done all the stuff that you had to do. So that's actually, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at it right there, and the dark green. It's a funny color because in one way it looks aggressive, like you said, but in another way it also is kind of peaceful. It kind of has that duality to it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
So you sent me the video for Supersonic. I'm not sure when you're going to be releasing that one, but I wanted to just ask a quick question about that.
Yeah.
Because watching it, I really, really enjoyed it, and the thing I thought was just so interesting, I texted this to you, was the use of the color red in that. Why did you want to emphasize that color specifically?
So I'd love to take credit for that. I won't say like red specifically was something that I envisioned. So shout out Creed, the dude who shot, directed, edited, all of that, because he really brought that element out. What I really wanted, and whenever the video drops, everybody who's watching this will be able to see. But what I really wanted is for the concept of the song Supersonic, right? It's like it's almost being not ostracized. It's like being set apart, right? Through, but it's an uncommon goal, right? Not everyone, like most people in life, don't want to like make it bigger as an artist or like really have this love for music to the point where like you would drop out of school for it, you would quit your job for it, you would uproot your life for it. Like that's not necessarily a common thing. Like you really have to be like almost addicted to like the work that you put in and really like addicted to like and really love like music, I feel like, to do what it is that we do, me and people like me. And so I feel like that's what I wanted to bring out in Supersonic, was just that idea of being in society, but kind of being set apart because of like because what your goals and your aspirations are. So the whole video was supposed to be like a dream. Like I have a line in there almost that says, I was in a daze, my discernment's in a different place. It was supposed to like, you ever seen like the clips where it'll be like a person and then everyone's like a person in the foreground, and then everyone's like either moving past them or their environment is like really like hazy and like, but they're just right there still standing in the middle, like untouched, but everything either by them is going like super fast or super slow or something like that. That's kind of like the idea, the concept behind the video, is that it's being present but like mentally like being way off in the distance. So the red was really just there to create a sense of like, okay, this isn't necessarily real, or this isn't like everyone else's reality, right? Because all those trees and stuff in real life, they were green. They were like, green, brown, it's like regular fall colors. But like when he took the red and made like everything, very dramatized, or like dramatic or whatever, dramatic environment, dramatic effects, it was kind of like to evoke that feeling I said before, being present, but not necessarily like being there, if that makes sense. So that's why you even kind of see like the blurred effects, and then like the, me dancing on the hill, and you can see like the little clones of me like popping. Yeah. It was all supposed to be like super, like I said, dramatized, or like over dramatic, or like large. I forget the word for that, but like larger than life type of deal. And then when I wake up in the park at the end, you're like, oh wait, okay, like the grass is really green, like he's wearing it. You know what I mean? That type of deal. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, I that whole cloning scene, I love that part where you were just jumping around. I was like, what? How did you do that? Looked really, really cool.
Yeah, I definitely snapped on that part. That was my favorite part for sure.
But I think that thing you mentioned where like, someone's standing in the foreground and people are going by them. I kind of picture like, one of those scenes from like a movie that like takes place in New York or like in a city whenever they're like on a sidewalk. And then you mentioned how everybody doesn't understand how you could, in your case, love music so much that you would drop out of school, do all these things, and give up everything. It's almost like that idea of person standing in the foreground with people going by is like everyone's going in different directions, and you're just still trying to like, you're still in this spot and dreaming about what direction you could take.
Right. And I really feel like, that was actually very spot on. And for me, I remember the emotions of just like being in school at Tech, and really just feeling like not necessarily misunderstood, but like when I think back to like the things we did, I'm just like, yo, like no one else like was moving like this. Like no one else like would skip class or like damn near skip a test to go like perform at like an open mic, or like to go open up for like an artist at like Masquerade or something. Like we really believed like so heavily in what we were doing that we prioritize it like over everything, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I meant about like the like uncommon gold thing. I really feel like, you know what I mean? Like no one could have told me that I wouldn't have blew up in like 2015, like 26, you know what I mean? Just from the way that we were like so heavily engaged, and like the belief, I think, is the biggest thing, just the belief in what we were doing and like what we could accomplish, sometimes I miss that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but excellent analysis as always.
So we have this project. It's coming out. We're doing this on Monday. It's coming out on Wednesday. I like that release date, by the way. Don't get lost on Fridays.
Exactly.
just how are you feeling with this debut project just coming out? How overall, what's your feeling?
I want to say, like, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely excited for people to hear it. Of course, I think because I've had it so long personally, like I said, we've been working on it since last year, September, at the latest. And then, to finish it, like however many months, like 5 months ago or however long it's been, I've heard it so much. I'm like, oh man, like, you know what I mean? Like this is old to me now, and I think that's how it should feel. Like I'm already working on like my next project, and I'm putting that together and, writing to that and stuff like that. So it's like excitement, but also it's kind of just like, okay, like let's get it over with. You know what I mean? Like I've held it so long. Like I, promised people the album's coming. I felt like the boy crying wolf or whatever. But so yeah, I'm just ready to get it out, man, and have people listen to it and see where it goes, man. Really push it, and I really think this is. I mean, after every project, you say this is the one, but like this is the music is so good, bro, and I just feel like it's. With this album specifically, it's undeniable. Just like it's too good to like I guess like be slept on. So we'll see what happens. But I'm excited. I'm excited for it, just to have it out.
I mean, this just listening to it from my perspective, I listened to it a couple times. It's really, really good, man. I think you did an awesome job on this. I had to just give you that compliment. I
appreciate that, dude. That's love. That's love.
So, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Nah, thank you, bro. Like every time I drop something, bro, I want to have these conversations because I feel like you make me look at like something that I created, for a long time. You make me look at it different, and you have different perspectives like every single time. So I appreciate these conversations, man, always.
Well, again, just a big thank you to AJ for coming onto the podcast. It's always so fun having him on. Remember, go down into the show notes on whatever platform you're on and check out that link to listen to Still the album if you haven't already, because it is so good. Definitely one of my personal favorite projects of this year. I don't say that lightly, so I highly recommend that. And also a link down there to go follow AJ so you can keep up to date on all the stuff that he is up to. And with that, that'll wrap it up for this episode of Anything Goes. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to rate and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platforms. New episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. For more episodes and for my other podcasts, go to jacksonneillpodcast.com. That's the go-to spot for everything that I publish. Also, if you're a big fan of the show, maybe consider becoming a subscriber on Patreon. There, for just a couple dollars a month or even $1 a month, you can get access to really cool bonus content from my podcasts here. Don't have any bonus content from AJ today, but I have some bonus content for some other interviews I've done. So you go over to one of the links down in the show notes. I promise it's down there. A lot of links down there, and you can check out some sample bonus content. See if that's something you're interested in. I'd write, produce, record, do all these things for these podcasts myself as a full-time college student. So any little bit of support really does go a long way. If you want to stay up to date on everything I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JacksonNeill20. Today's music is by Analog by Nature with their song CDK Sunday. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you all next time.